Hello and welcome back to episode 52 of the No Excuses podcast, which I'm going to have to rename sooner or later because I'm full of excuses. How have you been? It's been a couple of weeks since I last recorded, and I'm hoping to get this out and up on Sunday. It's just gone to, I think, on Sunday afternoon, the 29th of January. How have you been these past 2 weeks? It's been very cold here in Britain. Some of it's been damp, some of it's been dry, but it's been cold, and we've had the fire on a few times, which is nice. But the fire's in the lounge, and I like to sit here in the back room because I'm more comfortable with the table in front of me. So I can only sit in the front for so long and knit or whatever. But it's nice having a real fire. And we've got a small stove, and we just burn wood on it. We tried coal, but it makes a lot of mess, a lot more mess than wood, so we just burn seasoned wood now. Anyway, I've gone off on a tangent already. Hello. This is episode 52, and everything I talk about should be down below. And if it isn't, give me a shout, because I'm always I'm always around to pick up your messages, and if I don't reply and I haven't seen it, give me a nudge. We've got 2 make-alongs running at the moment. There's the jump along, and I'll put the hashtag down on the screen. Well, it's usually above me, isn't it, as I talk. That ends at the end of March. It is any adult size garment with or without sleeves, providing the sleeveless version is a vest that's to be worn outside rather than sort of cami that goes under. So get those entries in, please. I haven't had too many entries yet, but if you're knitting a jumper or you're putting anything like that, cardigan, top, put it in the jumper along. You never know, and as they say, you've got to be in it to win it. I don't know which lottery that comes from, but it's the postcode lottery. And then the other one that started, I've done a Ravelry thread now, is the Smash the Stash, and that will run from now until probably beginning of November-ish, depending on what's going on, because like last year we had strikes, didn't we, with Royal Mail, and I tend to use Royal Mail for my posting. It's just easier for me. And so, in case I need to post abroad. Having said that, I'm about to finally send out the prize winner to Anne in America, because Anne won last year's make-along, the early one. And I didn't post it to her because of the strikes and knowing that there was such a lot of posts around Christmas. So I held off, and then I didn't get round to making the bag until a couple of weeks ago, and then Royal Mail had a cyber attack. But apparently from last Thursday you can post again. So Anne, if you're watching, but I'm going to message you anyway, it should be on its way in the next couple of days. At last, poor girl, she's been waiting a long time for this. Anyway, what am I wearing? Well, you've got to... yet again, I'm not matchy-matchy, which I like to do. And I've got dark purple lipstick on. I haven't got very big lips. But to go with my jumper, which is my house jumper, which is purple at the top, you see. Now, I wear this day in, day out. It has got... I just noticed it had porridge on it. Funny story, I got rid of that. And they get thrown in the wash every couple of weeks, these do, because they are super wash. And I've talked about them before, but I'll put the link to the pattern. This is City Limits by Tannis Fibre Arts. And then I said to Tom, can you find me a shawl in my bottom drawer where I keep most of my shawls that I'm not wearing all the time, sort of thing, that goes with my jumper. Well, my jumper goes from purple to turquoise here, which I couldn't, it's below the boobage, so I couldn't see that very well. I know it's there. And he pulled out this one, which is the Mooncat Shawl, and it's done in it's an alpaca and cashmere mix. I'll put the link to my Ravelry project below so that you can see. I've only just grabbed it and I wanted to get on, and I'll put the details on the screen what it's made out of. But this is the Mooncat Shawl. I'll try and undo it so you can, there we go. I don't want to knock my tea over. Really nice shawl. Now I've done mine in 3 colours, and I think the original design was in 3 colours, but I'm not sure. It's very, very soft. That's there is a right and a wrong side, but I don't think you can always tell that. There we go, that's the bottom. And this is the top, so you cast on there and you've got rows of eyelets and garter and stocking stitch, and it's very, very pretty, and stripes, very, very pretty. And at the end, at the bottom, you've got an eye cord, and I did mine in a contrast, in one of the contrast yarns from above. I don't know whether the pattern, I can't remember whether the pattern tells you to do that. And knowing me, I might have edited it. I might have done a different ending in, i.e. the sequence of colours, because I think I was running out of yarn for one of them. But 2 of these are from Northshire Yarns. Northshire, we don't usually say Shire in Britain, but I think Northshire sounds a bit weird. Like we say Worcestershire, not Worcestershire. Or Warwickshire. We shorten it all the time. Yorkshire. I'm not going to name all the counties, don't worry. And then the blue is, so there's a variegated yarn at the beginning, which is beautiful. And then I bought off her as well this lovely like golden yellow, but the blue, I can't remember what it is, so it's very, very pretty, and it feels so light and soft. It's gorgeous. And I know for a fact that you can get this, sorry, just push my hair as well, so grey hairs everywhere. I know that you can get this combination from other dyers as well. I'd recommend it. I think I'm leaving that in. I think from my amulet shawl that I had on the other week, the one with the copper beads in, that it gets a bit fluffy after a few wears, but then you've just got an excuse to make something else, and haven't you? If you don't, if you think it's worn too much. But yeah, I need to wear this. It's lovely and warm. So yeah, this is the Mooncat Shawl, I think. But very, very pretty. So although it doesn't go with the purple, and it certainly doesn't go with my t-shirt, it'll have to do. Okay. Right. Anyway, let's get on with the podcast, shall we? Stop me wittering on. We have got 2 finished items to start off with, but they need, not blocking, but they need a little bit of attention before I send them off. These are the first 2 things I've finished for the 12 cast-ons. And the first ones are the Flock of Birds mitts, fingerless mitts, that I've knitted for my friend Nick. It's fluting out a little bit at the top, but when I put it on, it's okay. But I've left it at that. I've done an Icelandic cast off because of the little bit of stretch it's got in it. But I think it has stretched the rib a little bit. But it's more important how it looks on rather than just sitting here on the table. You can see the tram lines where I've put my DPNs. So, and you can see, I don't think you can see it that well. Not as good as it looks on the pattern photographs, but you can see that there's not a slip stitch, but there's a pattern going up it's like a 1-stitch cable going up the back of the hand. Now these don't need blocking, because if you block them you're going to lose elasticity in the rib. It's a twisted rib, it gives nicely, and hopefully it will last her quite a long time. The yarn is Rosie's Moments Grey Days. It's an old yarn. I don't know whether, I think it's one that Sal gave me. I don't know whether it's still available. And there's also a very slight little bit of pattern going up the outside of the thumb where the increases are for the thumb gusset. I want to neaten them up a little bit. I'm thinking of putting some I've got a eucalypt water mix in a mister, and I'm thinking I'll just give them a slight wet and move the pattern into the centre of the glove so the thumb slips behind slightly. And I'm not going to worry too much about the tram lines, because although they're very clearly seen there, I think once she starts wearing them, they'll disappear. So yeah, so very easy pattern. The chart looks complicated when you look at it, but you know, just plough away at it. I knitted one of them virtually in a day and a half last Sunday, but they don't look as neat as I would have liked. And I'm not a terribly neat knitter, but I think it's because I'm giving it to somebody else that I wanted to make a better job of it. So I'm going to give them a mist in the morning. I won't do it today because with the weather being as it is, I'd like to be able to mist them, leave them on the bed on a board and see how they fare, see if they look a little bit neater. Now the other one is the cowl for my lovely mother-in-law, Kath, and this is the Garden Cowl, and as I've told you before, I'm sorry it's unavailable because it's by Ruth of Knitterarium. I need to block this, but again I'm not going to do it too heavily because I don't want to stretch it out too much, but I just want to neaten these cast on edge these edges here where you form the V to sit in the neckline, and there's a bit of, and it'll stretch the lace so that you can probably see the lace a little bit better. And then I used a mini to fix, that's Belgravia by Biff Sugar, and Alison still does that colour, and that is a mini I had that picks out a bit of the blue that you can see in the Belgravia. And then this Wilderberry is a nep yarn that I had from Penny a few Christmases ago. I dread to think how many Christmases ago now, Penny. And that's really nice, and it's got purple flecks in it, and I found another mini with a similar purple in it, and I've just added a few stripes at the top, and then literally about 4 rows of rib. So I'll give that a spritz as well because it freshens up the yarn. I don't think I'm going to wash it as such, but I'll give that a harder block than the gloves. Really happy. I haven't weighed either of them yet, so I need to know how many metres I've knitted in January and finished. And yeah, so that's 2 of my 12 cast-ons finished. Now I shall be back to show you my progress on the other things I've been working on. Oh no, I won't. First of all, I'll show you because it's here and I can move it out of the way then. One of the things I casted on, this is my IKEA bamboo bowl that my hubby has put a notch in, but I don't like the notch. Not his fault, I asked for it and then decided I didn't like the way the wool gets caught up in it. This is I think this was my first cast on actually in the 12 cast ons, and this is the worsted boxy by Huggy Locatelli. It's very scrunched up on the needles. I'm just going to give you a show about how the colours are coming on. I've got this grey, which looks incredibly like Grey Days from Rosie's Moments, and it may well be the same, but it hadn't got a ball band, so it may well be another one from Sal. Thanks, Sal. And I've just got to this very plain grey mini now that I've dug out of my mini collection. And what I'm doing a garter stitch section under the arms, and then stocking stitch panel across the chest and back. So you can see it keeps flipping up at the moment. I need to do some, oh no, that's the underside, sorry. I am still doing that, but you can, right, this is the stocking stitch area, and excuse the flipping, but you can see hopefully that there are subtle changes in colour as I use different minis. I've just used a mini that was quite dark there, but mixed with the grey that I'm already using, the 100 grams, then it's quietened it down a bit. So yeah, and you've got little hints of colour from the previous mini. So I'm quite pleased with how this is coming along. I'm knitting it at night. It's my night knitting, and I'm falling asleep on a regular basis at the moment. I'm quite tired. I'm getting tired because it's winter and I'm getting worn out much quicker than any of the sorry if I disappeared just in any previous winters. It's especially when it's damp. So yeah, I'm making progress on it, not as quickly as I would have liked. When I first knitted my first boxy, I did it in 2 weeks. That's not going to happen. Right, I'm going to go and get the other 2 things that I've cast on. Well, after the last episode, I had 2 comments saying, I had more than 2 comments, but I had 2 comments telling me to get on and cast on the Arca Iris. So who am I to argue when I can't make a decision myself? So I did, and this is the V-neck jumper that's got a cabled rib pattern on the neck, the cuff and the sleeves, and this is my progress so far. And this has been knit in the luxury DK that I bought from Camel's Yarn. This is on a 4mm needle. I've written some notes so I know where I am, and I'm doing the increases around the back of the neck, and then you join when you get to the bottom of the V, I presume. So yeah, it's got a nice halo to it. It's inside out when I show you, but you can see it's got quite a halo with it because it's alpaca mainly, and this is the colour that I've started with. And this is going to be a striped jumper. I showed you the 3 colours last time. I've only brought this one to the table with me. Now I can't remember whether this is rosewood or fireside because I am, pretty unprofessional about this. But yeah, and it's got beautiful colours in it. So, and I think, ignore the the lipstick, but it's going to suit my skin tone. I'm looking forward to wearing that. My only reservation about this is that it's a softly spun yarn, and will it fall apart? I'm going to have to wear it, put it away, wear it, put it away, which I tend to do anyway with my knits. It's only things like my city limits that I wear day in, day out. I don't tend to wear them out of the house unless I'm just popping somewhere like the doctor's or whatever, and I'm not going to be taking my coat off or whatever. So that's the Arca Iris. So thank you to Jean and thank you to Sally for saying I think you should do that. And so it's probably the best way to treat me. Just get on with it, woman. Stop you messing about. And then the other one, as I told you, I'm really pleased that Contrasts, Liner Publishing gave me the PDF version of their contrast book. Really pleased about that. So immediately I wanted to cast on, and I was going to do the Pearly Beach. It was all set in my mind. And my mum said to me, you haven't done a cardigan for ages. I said, well, I'm quite liking jumpers at the moment to wear. And I thought, yeah, she's right though, I haven't. So I'd gone through the book and I decided I really want to use this book, especially after the faff of trying to get the PDF off them. What I should do now is find a pattern. And the Pearly Beach was in there, right at the back. It was the last pattern in the book. And there's a couple more that I like. I'm not so keen on the bulky ones. Bulky doesn't look good on me. But I was never keen on the first pattern, which is Blue Moment. And I'll put some photographs in here. Because I just thought it was a bit similar to a lot of other things I've seen. But then I looked, and it's done in 2 lots of lace weight. But I looked at other people in it when I looked at other photographs of it. Oh no, that's a different one. That's a different jumper, isn't it? Ignore me. I've got so many patterns. Sorry, I'm not pointing at you. So many patterns bouncing around my head at the moment. I don't know. I'm coming or going. Anyway, I cast on Blue Moment, which is the one that I thought, no, I'm not going to knit that. And I haven't got very far, because you can see I haven't got past the ribbing for the neck. So I'm doing, I don't think I'm doing short rows, am I? Might be, I can't remember. But anyway, so this is being done in maple or maple leaf by Cuxton Crafts, Claire of Cuxton Crafts. And this has got yak in it. And there will be more yak in a minute. And I don't mean yak. I mean, you know, them big, lovely, fluffy, furry, hairy things. So, yeah, this has got yak in it, and it's got beautiful, beautiful colours in it. If you look closely, different browns, oranges, red. It's a rust colour in the main, but really does capture the colour of maple leaves. So, yeah, so those are my 2 cast-ons since I last spoke to you. And I'm very pleased with that. And I thought, we're on a roll. And now I've come to a complete standstill again. We have got today, tomorrow and Tuesday, 3 days left of the cast-ons. And in that time, I need to cast on at least 3 or 4 more things. And I will. I always work better when I'm under pressure. I never used to revise until a couple of days before. When I was at school or college. You know, I'm somebody who works better when I've got to do it. If you give me an option, I always want to know. I'm not saying I do my best work under pressure, but it's going to be a case of doing that because I'm running out of time. So I was knitting on a scarf for my friend Elaine, the Nanam scarf, and I'd started in a lovely green colour, which I called Rosemary last time, but it's actually called Salt Marsh by Attic Spin Dye by Andy and Angela. But I decided that that green wasn't really her, it was more me. And then I started winding my minis, which I'll talk about in a minute in a bit more detail. And I realised that I had quite a few greens that I could use instead of this one that I would be better keeping for myself. And I'd already restarted the scarf because I felt it was a little bit too wide for what it's going to be used for as an accessory rather than something to keep it warm. So yeah, so I've undone that, and we will start that again today or tomorrow or Tuesday. So that's on hold sort of thing, but I do need to cast it on, and I'll put a photograph on Instagram to prove that I've done it. And then I've made no more progress on the Reich hat, R-I-K-K-E, that's on Ravelry. I'm knitting mine in a rust yarn. I haven't got it out because I've made no more progress, except to say that it's all done in garter. You do the brim in a smaller needle, go up a couple of sizes, and then you do garter for the rest of the hat. So it's quite slouchy, very easy. But you know me and boredom. So I changed it to 2 rounds of knit, 1 round of knit 2, purl 2, and 1 round of purl, to a broken rib basically. And I'm going to do that up it because I'm happier knitting that. I'm more likely to make progress on it if I've got something other than just 1 round knit, 1 round purl, which the garter would be. So yeah, I'm doing it again. I mean, I never would have changed things years ago, not really. Well, yeah, maybe I did, I don't know. It's not a compulsion of mine. I probably won't change it on either of the Arco Iris or the Blue Moment, but on simple stuff, you know me, I don't like simple stuff basically. Now, the other cast on, so that means I've got the Riker hat, worsted boxy, the Arco Iris, the Blue Moment, and when I recast it on, Elaine's Nanami. Right, that's 5. 2 have already been finished, so that's 7. Last year I did 9. I'd like to do 10 this year. So I've got to cast on another 3. I'd like to do a crochet blanket. I'd like to do a shrug or a blanket for me. I need something that's going to go over me and keep me warm that I can wear on top of a jumper, I think. And I've been looking around, and I think there's a pattern called Post which I'll put up. I'm not saying it's an expensive pattern, but I don't really want to spend any more money on patterns if I'm only going to make it once. But also, I've just checked that I've got the right, while I'm talking to you, I've got the right pattern. It's beautiful, I like it because it's got some nice sort of design features to it. But all it is, it's a, put it over the head type of thing, and it's like a jumper without arms in a way. So let me just go and see. Now, it hasn't had many people make it yet, so there's not much to look at in terms of project work. It is called, right, it is called Post. That is the picture of it on Ravelry. As you can see, it's got it's just fairly simple looking. It's got nice lines down the shoulder and a little bit of a turtleneck. I've no idea what you're looking at, but hopefully you've got an idea. So that's nice. But I didn't, and that's knit in DK. I've got some DK, that's fine. And it's very size inclusive. Now it's £8.44 to buy the pattern, and I'm thinking that if I'm only going to use it once, I'm dithering a bit because I've been spending too much money on patterns and yarn. I'm not saying it's not worth it because it does look really, really nice. And then I found, I do like that, which is P-Rex by So Knitting. But I think that might be a bit like, I don't know if it'll be very practical for me. And then the one that I've just found is called Comfort Zone. And that's by Espace Tricot. And of course, the Comfort Zone, because it's an Espace Tricot, will be free. And that is very similar to Post, don't you think? If my dithering, holding things up to the screen doesn't work, I'm going to put photographs in there. Higher turtleneck, deal with that, and I'd want, and that is knitted in Aran. So I'm thinking, holding, a bit like I've done with the worsted boxy, 2 strands of 4-ply together. Now, because I want to do a blanket, I want to do a mitre square blanket, and my minis, I've told you last time, I think, I dream about them. So I've spent most of the last week not knitting, but winding. Now, I'm not sure how much of this you'll see because of the light on the thing, but take it from me, this is the second biggest IKEA Visa bag they do, and this is full of my 10-gram minis. So some of these are swaps that I've done with Pip at Christmas in the Advent swap. Some of these are ones I already had, and some of them are 10 grams taken from skeins that I've started. I'm not going to use necessarily the whole skein, so I'm nicking a mini off it. And then I've got the bigger bag that IKEA do. I've got that as well. That's full of 20-gram minis. And then I've got this, which is also full of 20-gram minis. This is why my shoulder hurts. Don't tell anybody. So, I've got a real mix in here. Again, some of these have been taken from Advent calendars. I can't show you them all, but some of them are going to be, like this one, for instance. I've taken off a skein of yarn that had already been started. So, and I can't remember the life of me what that is. I'll have to look it up. So I've got all these. I've got another big bag, and those are only the merino and nylon ones. And in the loft, I've got a family tree yarn advent that is a bit different because it's like it's got a stripe in it. I'll show you a picture. So I've got all those. I'd like to get them down and wind it, because the 100 gram that goes with that is actually quite pretty, whereas the minis that came with it, a little bit slightly on the darker side, which is fine because I've got lots of darker ones, and of course a couple of them I might be able to put in Elaine's scarf. So I've got loads and loads and too many options, but I want to make a pastel blanket, and I want to make something that goes over my head. So I will probably be casting on with 2 strands of yarn, maybe like I've done with the boxy, a 100 gram held with a mini each time, because if I do 2 minis, A, it might end at the same time, B, I will have too many ends to throw in. She says through gritted teeth. Now, if I do a blanket and I want to do a mitre squared pastel blanket, when I looked at the Kemperay pattern last night, she did 44 stitches. It's a free pattern. It says it all on the project page, on her pattern page, that she used 5 to 6 grams on a 44 stitch square. So that's what you start out with, and you reduce it down to, you essentially, if you haven't done it before, you're knitting a diamond in a way. Now, it ends up looking like a diamond. It's sort of like knitting a triangle in a way, isn't it? Because you're reducing the side. Anyway, I digress again. So I've got 10 gram minis that I want to use, and I don't mind using half of some of the 20 gram minis as well, because a lot of those are pastel. But what I thought I'd do is get a 10 gram mini and find the 2 ends, how I've wound it up, and then start with those 2 ends, so that when I cut it off, if there's anything to be cut off, then it's all in one piece. Because if I start with one end and then if I cut the ball in half, I might end up with 2 short bits left over, and I don't want that. I'll show you what I mean when I'm doing it. This is what's in my brain, and what I'm doing is regurgitating it to you. And it might sound a bit horrible, but yeah, I'm sorry. You've got to share this with me, because I can't make a decision. So, and by pastels, you know, this sort of thing, but also it will have the odd darker one that tones in with everything else, because yeah, I want to get them used up. I think I'm stuck on making the perfect match, like I said before, and that is not going to happen. So those are my plans. So I've got 7 on the list at the moment. I want to do a blanket, start my blanket, start probably the comfort zone, now I've found that. And then for number 10, I'd like to cast on the Aurora cabin, but I'm not going to be able to do that because the yarn I've got in mind, it might involve buying something. In my no by year, I can't even talk. And that won't get here before Wednesday, because it's not even dyed up yet. The lady I'm talking to on Etsy. Okay. But we have other options, because we've got, if I start my mitered square, I could also start my crochet one. I'll tell you what I do want to do. I was on Instagram, as you do, and you know Max the knitter from Le Garçon in Canada, aren't they? He was showing him knitting with what looked like really thick yarn, and I thought, oh, the colour attracted me, and if you go and find it, you'll see what I mean. He is knitting a really chunky blanket with an I-cord that has been made on a machine. And you know, that never occurred to me. With all these bits and pieces I've got, that never occurred to me. And I think that's going to be prime for using my family tree minis, because I think they'll mix quite well. Not all together, but they'll mix quite well with other colours as well. So I had a look online for an I-cord maker, knitted tube. Do you remember, I don't know about you, but when I was a child, my mum would give us some French knitting, they called it, or corking. and you get a wooden cotton reel with 4 nails in it, and you'd just go over and over and over, and you'd pull it out to the cotton reel, and it'd just be a 4-stitch I cord effectively. And of course that forms a tube. It's no different from having one of these tubular yarns that you can get these days. It's a lot thicker, and oh my, now I can't wear anything that's going to be that chunky, but I've got several magic balls already caked up that have got like short something. If it's more than a metre, then I've put it in, type of thing. And also, if I've done magic knots on it to go in my magic balls, then I took them inside, and I won't need to sew the ends in, because although people say that you don't need to sew the ends in on a magic knot, I always would, even if it's only just weaving it in, because I'd have to, you know, the nerdy bit of me likes to do things. I like to sew my ends in 3 times over each other, through, over, so it's 3 passes. So you do end up with a bit of a lump sometimes, but I've never knowingly had one come undone. So yeah, so that's my plan, is to Tom said, you'll get Prim do a little one, and so do Addie. I think Addie do like an egg thing, and you wind it. It's got a weight to put underneath to pull it down, so you don't have to do that. Hang it off a table, wind it. And people say yes, you have to be careful because it misses, but you read the reviews. But the Prim one, I think Prim products are quite good, so I'm thinking of getting the Prim one, because it can use up a multitude of bits and bobs for me. And then I could make, well, I've got an option then. I've got I-cord that could be sewn on, or even picked up and knitted with onto something else. Or what I'm thinking is I just crochet rather than knit, because I find knitting with big needles does hurt my wrists a bit, because I can't do my flicking action. I have to pick it up and do it, you know, throw it over, is it called? So I find knitting on really big needles a bit of a pain, literally. So I'm thinking crochet on a big hook, and that would be quite nice. What do you think? Have you ever done any of that? Because it completely passed me by about doing something like that, and I wish I'd thought about it earlier, because I could have taken bits and scraps and stuff, and you know, just sat there with a French knitter, and somebody gave me one, or I bought one, and I gave it away because I thought, I'm not going to use these. But anyway, I think to do it yourself would take a long time. If you wanted something big enough long enough to make a blanket anyway. So that was probably that. And again, I can order it off Amazon. It could come tomorrow and I could cast on, couldn't it? So yeah, you've fallen asleep yet? Well, don't worry, because the next bit is now, which should be banished, but I know I'm full of no excuses. There's some more yarn incoming. Da-da-da! I'll be back in a sec. I just realised my ring light isn't on. Now I put it on and it's sort of coming at me from a weird angle. I can't reach it, so I'm sorry. So I'm suddenly lit up a little bit more. I've turned it down so it's not too bright, but yeah. Amateur hour. Welcome to amateur hour. Anyway, let's get the excuses out of the way first, because I know at least somebody, Ginny, will be going at me. Right, yeah. What I haven't bought, but I've been given. I don't think I showed you, and I may have done, and apologies if I'm going to show you again. But at Christmas I did 2 advent swaps, one with Pip and one with Sal. And Pip gave me, for my Christmas Day skein, this is a merino, cashmere and nylon Fox on the Run by, Superwash merino, 75-25 merino and nylon, Fox on the Run. Isn't that gorgeous? The greens and everything, and that's going to look lovely with some of my minis. Now I've had this colour in, I might have had it with the cashmere actually, and it was a lot lighter, and it does make a difference what you have it with, you know, what your yarn is, or whether you've got it on. It might have been a single. It makes a real difference to how the dye takes the colour. The colour takes to the yarn. So yeah, so that's really nice. I didn't know whether I'd shown you that. And then I met Penny and Maggie at last over Christmas, because the pub that we usually go to closed for a short while. Then Maggie was poorly, and I'd messed up the dates for us meeting way before Christmas, when we were going to go for a Christmas meal there. Anyways, after one thing and another, I met them last week, and we did our Secret Santa, and I had mine from Maggie, and this is called the Violet Fairy from Rosie's Knitting Shed, and it doesn't describe me. Do you know, I think my hair's falling out. It's like a postmenopausal thing. And this is, look at that. I mean, it's got proper purple in it, proper lime green, and then everything in between. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? Absolutely stunning. You know, and I love it as equally as much as the Fox on the Run, because they're just so, I look at them and I think, I love them. And this is, sock yarn, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, Rosie's Knitting Shed. Beautiful. Thank you very much, Maggie. And there was a few sweets in the bag that Tom had as well. And she even gave me a notebook as well, and a couple of stitch markers in green and purple. And gold, sorry. And to take them off and put them in my little pot of stitch markers. So that's what I was given. Well, I was given one more thing, but there's a story to be told first. I was driving home from my mother's last week, and I was thinking about knitting. And I was thinking about the Arco Iris being fairly soft, and am I making the right decision, even though I'd cast it on, because of the yarn. Because you know me and pillion, I'm obsessed with it, and about things lasting forever. Well, I don't expect them to last forever, but, you know, I'm going to make the most of them. After spending a lot of money on these yarns, don't forget, I mean, you know, some of them are very expensive. And I was thinking, you know, I've got holes to do a very, a nice lace weight, alpaca lace weight, called Titicaca, and I've got it in a lovely, I think, walnut, nice dark brown. And I thought, well, maybe I should have bought some of that to go with the camel's yarn. I thought, no, I can't keep adding to it, because what I wanted was, I didn't want to buy more mohair or add mohair, because I've got a mohair that would go with that, but not very much of it. I'm pointing over there because I've put it over there, but it's actually there. So, I thought, I don't want any fluffiness, I don't want everything to be fluffy, but I'd like it to have a bit more strength. Well, I'm not going to buy any more yarn to go with it. I've cast it on, I'll stick with it, but maybe for the future. And I started looking at lace weight yarns that didn't have the fluff. And there's a few, I mean, Malabrigo do one, don't they, or the Maris do, I can't remember. That Silk Alpaca one is one as well. So there's a couple out there that you can find, an exquisite lace by West Yorkshire Spinners as well. They don't do the colour that I need, like a cream or something. Anyway, I came home, forgot all about that, and then I had a parcel from Attic Spin Dye from Angela and Andy, because I was looking at all the variegated yarns I've got, and I'm thinking, I can't just knit things out of variegated yarn. You know, when I start working through my stash, making blankets and things, I don't want it all to be variegated. Now, you've seen some of those minis I pulled out were solids or semi-solids, that's fine. I need some tonals, and Tom said to me, and I only did it because he told me to, not because I really wanted to, go and get yourself some tonals. So I did. I bought 4 tonals from, I looked around and I thought, oh, why don't I'm sure I've seen some tonals on Andy's site. So I went and had a look, and sure enough, he had exactly what I needed. I wanted something very brightish that would go with the array of minis that I've got. or even some of the other brighter standalone skeins that I've got that I don't want to put into clothing, for instance, because I'm thinking about my crochet blanket here, because I want to do the equivalent to the crochet linen stitch type of thing. So first of all, duck egg, beautiful, and they're all premium superwash merino and nylon, so they're 425 meters per 100 grams, so that's lovely, isn't it? And then this is wisteria, it's a bit more tonal. You can see it's got, and that's gorgeous. And then this one is sugar cane, and again that's a solid, beautiful golden, soft gold yellow, I'd say that was. And they've all got little stitch markers on, I think teddy bear on that one. And then the one I was a bit concerned about, because I didn't know whether I was buying the right colour here, but it's perfect for what I want, is this, which is mulled wine. And again, this is tonal. I need to go outside in a bit actually and take some photographs, get some true light ones. And these four are my tonals, okay, to go with other things, and they were essential. I don't care what you say, they were essential. Full of rubbish I am. This is why I call myself No Excusey, because I know that I'm full of them. Now, when I opened the package, and it had some beautiful things in it, it had a lovely note from Ange, a notebook, and my favourite thing is, took it off its card, one of her zebra pins, because Ange has got Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and if any of you know anything about it, it is debilitating, and it is one of these things that can play you up one day, it can give you a lot of pain, it has a multitude of symptoms that can be really difficult to get you diagnosed correctly for. So yeah, thank you for that. That's gorgeous, isn't it? I've got a few pins that I'd like to put something on, but I haven't quite decided where I want to display them really. But so I had the 4, and I knew I'd ordered 4, but I slightly panicked, which is not like me, because there were 5 packages. Oh, and by the way, they were all lovely wrapped in tissue paper, but because I hadn't put any sellotape on any of the tissue on the skeins, I just carefully took it off, smoothed it out, and I shall be recycling it. And it's probably going to go to America because it's lightweight. I don't know that and stuff in it. I'm into that at the moment. I thought, anyway, I digress again. Hope you're keeping up. There'll be a quiz later. Anyway, I thought I'm not going to open anything until, because I saw there were 5 things there, and I was thinking, no, I'm sure, because I did order a green, I think, and I put it back because I've got the salt marsh. And I thought, I'm sure I ordered 5. And I started feeling a bit guilty. I know, guilt doesn't sit well on me. And then I read Angie's note, and I thought, so I opened them. And the 5th one was this. You know, I said I'd fancied a green, and I didn't order it. Now this is stupendous. I'm just so lucky. I'd love you, like, you're so lovely. So lovely. And that is beautiful, isn't it? Now, after what I said about the lace weight and the fluff and not wanting to have everything fluffy, what Angie said is that Andy's experimenting with a new base. You know, see what we think of it. Now this one's called Anne's Special Green. I am special. Many people have told me that over the years. Not always in a positive way. Anyway, this beautiful yarn, and you can see it has got a slight halo on it, and that's because it's 55% superwash merino, 20% kid mohair, and 25% nylon. So they've taken 20% of the merino, because normally 75%, and instead added that in the form of kid mohair. So you get the very, very slightly, it's more fluffy when you look at it than the superwash merino on its own. But it feels just, I mean, this one's quite firmly wound, but you know, it feels, that's smoother without a doubt, but that is lovely and soft. And also it gives, if you put something like the kid mohair in that form into something that was like a single and that, it's going to add some strength, isn't it? But I am going to break my golden rule that I don't knit socks, and I'm going to knit myself some socks in that. But I will be taking at least 20 grams off it first, because I want it as a mini as well, because I've got to have that somewhere in one of my keepsake blankets because it's gorgeous. So yes, I shall let you know how I get on with that, and also how it feels on my feet. I'm having dreadful trouble at the moment when my feet are getting so cold, you know, because it's winter, isn't it? You know, and Tom says, like, I've said this before, how can your feet be colder than the room around you, and significantly colder than the room around you? So yeah, thank you so much, Andy and Angela. This is beautiful. Same colour as my eyes. Thank you. I'll let you know how I get on with it. I can't wait to spin it up. I'm going to ball it up probably tomorrow, and why don't I just use that as my 10th cast on? See, I can't join things up. So those are my incoming, and what a glorious set of those they are as well. I am a very lucky girl, and I am going to receive a parcel of another lovely lady, but I won't mention her name, and she's going to send me some yarn, some wool, from some a big stash that she's acquired from a family member, and has offered it to me, offered some of it to me. So you know who you are. I'm looking forward to that. Thank you. So that is, oh sorry, I moved you then. Now, sorry, we have one last acquisition, and I've saved it just for you. Here we have Yarnworthy, and this was supposed to be my only acquisition this year, is the yarn club from Emma at Yarnworthy. You know how I love her colours. Emma's mystery, I made my Advent envy after last year's fade that she did, but I didn't want to this year's because it's peacock, the theme was, and I'm not into dual colours really, you know, not a lot of them. I could, you know, incorporate them, but things like emerald green and stuff doesn't sit well on me, or royal blue, and you know, those are the colours I associate with a peacock really. So I thought this came yesterday, I thought I'd show it to you. I'm just going to rip into the tissue paper without looking. And what I've ordered, this is a bi-monthly club. I ordered the yak base, the base that includes yak, with one skein of the colour that she's doing for that club session, and then another one of the bare yarn. I'm interested to look, because if you may recall that one of my advents this year, it was a yak yarn from Needle and Thread, and I'm thinking, I've got some bare, it was just a happy coincidence that I got some bare yak to the club, because I'll have 6 of these by the end of the year. It will mean I've got enough for a jumper with, and I can incorporate my minis for my advent plan. I have a plan. Right, excuse the rustling. Ooh, look at those. Right, first of all, let's look at the exciting one. This is, I don't think she's given it a name, has she? This is Mystery Club, January 2023. And it's a purpley blue and browns and greys. Ooh, I like that. That is lovely. Now I presume the grey is probably undyed bits That nice. Now that isn't something I'd normally have. I mean, I'd like it if I saw it, but I wouldn't necessarily buy it. So that's really interesting, and that's really nice. And it feels gorgeous. And this is the bare yarn. Now, isn't that gorgeous? Oh, it's so soft. So soft. Really, really nice. Bare Necessity Silky Yak. So this is one of her luxury bases. It's 60% superwash merino, 20% silk and 20% yak. 100 grams, 3 ply. So you get 366 metres per 100 grams. And by 3 ply, it's 3 plies, but it knits as a 4 ply. So that is going to be such a lovely thing to use my minis with. And these, so I'm going to save all of these until the end of the year and then make a decision of what to do with me yak. I should probably knit a yak out of some of it. Isn't that lovely? That grey is beautiful. It's grey, Ginny, grey, silver, no, silver. Yeah, beautiful. Emma, thank you. And that's the incoming. Right, I'm just going to give this a quick squish, because every time I make notes, you see, because I'd forgotten about that sat behind me, and I would have been really annoyed if I'd finished the video and not had it. Well, I've been talking for just over an hour. There's a little bit to cut out when I've been moving backwards and forwards, but just finish off and talk about what activities I've been up to, apart from winding minis really and watching. Not a lot. I need to start watching a wider variety of things on the telly, on my tablet and things. I saw you, I last spoke to you, I think it's something like this, I recorded on Friday the 13th, didn't I, think? On the Monday I went to, sorry I'm saying too much, I went to Webb's with my mum, because I needed a card for Elaine for the Wednesday. I hadn't got anything suitable for a birthday card, and so we went there and we had a cup of coffee, had a look round, saw Naomi in Hobbycraft, and then ran into a man that I used to work with, Gordon. Then on the Wednesday was Elaine's birthday, so we went to Merry Hill, and I put a couple of photographs on Instagram or Facebook, and I'll put a couple in here of us living the life. And her son came and picked Elaine up, so I didn't have to take her home, because it adds about 40 minutes onto my journey, which is not a problem, but because I get tired easily with the winter months, dark and cold, and yeah, he did me a big favour by doing that. And then I saw Penny and Maggie, so that was this week, was it? Anyway, so Penny and Maggie around the local pub. We did the Secret Santa, that was really nice. We had a catch up and we had a good chat for about 2.5 hours. We're not very good business for them, no wonder they're going under. We had 3 soft drinks between us. And then last week on Thursday I went to Longbridge again. Well, picked my mum and my sister-in-law Naomi, who vacuumed my filthy car for me yesterday, bless her. She's such a star, my sister-in-law Naomi. She's married to my brother and they've got 2 grown-up sons. And they live not very far from my mum, so as my mum said yesterday, they get the short straw because they end up doing all the extra bits and pieces that my mum needs. But she don't mean that, and he's not bothered, So I saw my brother and my sister-in-law yesterday. We went to Longbridge, and it's interesting, because I wasn't really looking for anything for myself or whatever, I could see, it's almost like I could see the trends a bit better, because I wasn't looking for anything specific. And I've got a range of lovely looking coats in like pastel colours and things. And I thought, oh, yeah, very, remind you of spring colours. They look nice. I'm not in the market for one, but it would be nice maybe to have a jacket in a light colour or something similar. Mum's getting on with my jacket, which I will show you when it's finished. I'm really looking forward to wearing that. It's going to be perfect for this time of year. Well, when it gets a bit warmer, it's a bit cold at the moment. She's plodding away at that, and she's made me some trousers as well, so I'm a very lucky girl. Naomi did try a short little pink and white jacket on, and she looked super in it. She says she has got a jacket obsession. So we had a nice time. Both the toilets were working this time, which is nice, the disabled toilets. Went round the food hall as well, and came back, yeah. But I was aching when I got back, yeah. But, you know, I'm just struggling, aren't I? I'm struggling to get in and out of the car. It's not too bad today because it's very, very dry with a light breeze, and it's not damp. Right, I'm going to go now. I'm going to see you in about 2 weeks' time. Please look after yourselves and take care. I might get rid of some of the waffle, I might not, you know what I'm like. And yeah, I'll speak to you soon. Get in touch, you know where I am. Enter the jump along if you've done anything that resembles a jumper. It doesn't have to be sewing or it can be sewing as well as crochet or knitting. You know, if you've made it yourself, then put it in. It's still a top, isn't it? You take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.